The Whispering House. Hi everyone. I don't usually post, but I'm desperate. I moved into this house last week. It's a 2-story Victorian on the edge of town. Pretty cheap for the area, but it needs work. I thought it was a fresh start. But now, I don't think I'm alone. And I'm terrified. Day 1. The house was empty when I first got here. It smelled like old wood and something else I couldn't place. Musty, but almost sweet, like burnt sugar or rotting honey. Last night, I thought I heard my name whispered outside my bedroom window. I live alone, so that was creepy as hell. I checked around, nothing but the dark, and the trees swaying in the wind. I'm not sure if I imagined it. Day 2. I'm starting to think I didn't. This morning, I woke up to a faint whisper again, only this time, it wasn't outside. It sounded like it was coming from the walls themselves. Like the house was talking. I could barely make out the words, but it was saying, "Stay, don't leave." I tried to shrug it off, but it stuck with me. Day 3. It got worse last night. The lights flickered constantly. I swear I heard footsteps upstairs, but when I checked, no one was there. The whispering became louder, angrier, and I started to feel like the house was watching me. Every time I tried to leave the house, open the front door or the back, it wouldn't budge. Like the door was stuck or glued shut. But when I checked from the outside, there was no visible obstruction. I'm freaking out. I'm not sure what's happening, but I'm scared to stay here. Day 4. I found scratches on the walls. Symbols I don't recognize, like crude runes or sigils. They weren't there when I moved in. They appeared overnight. The whispers have become full sentences. Join us. Stay forever. Never leave. I tried calling a locksmith today to check the locks, but my phone died suddenly, even though it was fully charged. I can't get a signal either. It's like the house is blocking everything. Day 5. I couldn't sleep last night. The whispers turned into voices telling stories, dark stories. I found an old box in the attic with newspapers clippings about previous owners who vanished. I'm not the first one trapped here. Day 6. I spent most of today in the attic, going through that box I found. It was dusty, filled with brittle newspapers, old journals, and some faded photographs. As I flipped through the pages, I learned about the house's dark history. Apparently, the house has been abandoned for decades between owners, with each tenant disappearing without a trace after only a few months. There were rumors about strange rituals, ghost sightings, and that the house itself was cursed. One journal belonged to a man named Thomas Miller, who lived here in the 1920s. The entry stopped abruptly mid-sentence, with a strange symbol drawn in red ink on the last page. The symbol matched the scratches on my walls. I'm starting to think this isn't just an old house with creaks and drafts. It's something else. Night 6. Last night was hell. The whispers turned into full voices, like a chorus of tortured souls trapped inside the walls. They told me their stories, how they came here looking for a fresh start, just like me, and how they ended up trapped forever. They begged me to free them, but also warned me not to try. They said the house chooses its victims, and won't let them go unless it finds a replacement. I'm starting to understand why the doors won't open. The house wants me here, and I'm terrified it wants me forever. Day 7. I couldn't stay in my bedroom last night. The voices grew louder, and at one point, I thought I heard footsteps pacing just outside my door. I barricaded myself in the living room with a baseball bat and a flashlight. Today, I found something even worse. A hidden door behind a false wall in the basement. It was covered with those same symbols. I opened it. Inside was a small, dusty room with strange artifacts. Candles, bones, and a large book bound in cracked leather. The pages were filled with handwritten rituals and incantations. The book mentioned a ritual to bind spirits, trapping them within the house, and a way to release them, but at a terrible cost. Night 7. The house was alive. I could feel it breathing, pulsing around me. The whispers weren't just voices anymore. They were screams, begging, threatening. I tried the ritual to release the spirits, but it requires a sacrifice. The book didn't say who or what the sacrifice needed to be, only that someone must take the place of the trapped souls. I don't want to be that sacrifice, but I'm running out of options. Day 8. I don't know how much longer I can last. The walls are closing in. The doors refuse to open, and the windows are sealed tight. The whispers follow me everywhere, telling me secrets I don't want to hear. I found an old letter from the original owner, warning future inhabitants to leave immediately if they hear the whispers. But I can't. The house is me, and I think it's going to keep me forever. Night 8. I heard footsteps upstairs again, but this time they were coming down the stairs. I grabbed my bat and waited. The door creaked open slowly, and a shadow appeared. It was a man, pale, with hollow eyes, staring right at me. He whispered, "You belong here now." And then he vanished. Day 9. I'm losing my mind. I don't know what's real anymore. I keep seeing that man everywhere, whispering to me, telling me to accept my fate. I tried breaking a window. It shattered, but outside was just darkness, like I was in some pocket of nothingness. I screamed for help, but no one heard me. I'm trapped. Forever. Night 9. The voices turned into one. A cold, ancient voice that spoke directly inside my head. "Join us!" I tried to resist, but the house is too strong. I feel it pulling me in. Day 10. I wrote this as my final message. If anyone reads this, please stay away from the whispering house, because once you enter, it never lets you leave. Day 11. I don't know how much longer I can keep writing this. My hands shake, and my mind is fraying at the edges. The house is alive, and it's trying to consume me. The strange man from last night appeared again, but this time he didn't vanish. He stepped closer and whispered something I couldn't quite hear. Then, just as suddenly, he was gone. I'm not sure if he's a ghost, a hallucination, or something worse. But I know one thing. He's a warning. Night 11. I found the leather-bound book again, hidden beneath the floorboards in the basement room. The pages seem to shift when I look away, like they're alive. I tried to read the ritual for release again. It says the house binds souls with an ancient curse. To break it, you must perform a sacrifice. A willing soul must take the place of the trapped spirits. Or, according to a darker footnote, the house will claim you without mercy. I don't want to die here, trapped forever, but I'm afraid I have no choice. Day 12. I tried to leave again this morning. The front door wouldn't open, not even a crack. The windows were like thick glass walls, impenetrable. I pounded on the door and screamed for help, but the house swallowed my voice. The whispers came back, soft, coaxing. "Join us! Join us!" I wanted to fight, but the words echoed inside my head. Night 12. I dreamt about the previous tenants. I saw their faces, pale and terrified. They were trapped like me. In my dream, the house showed me its true nature, a parasite feeding on souls, growing stronger with every victim. I woke up drenched in sweat, clutching the book. Day 13. I decided to try the ritual. If I'm going to be trapped here, I want to end this nightmare. I gathered the ingredients the book listed: candles, herbs, and a sharp knife. I set up the ritual in the basement room. As I began chanting the words, the house trembled. The walls bled shadows, and the whispers turned into screams. The temperature dropped so low I could see my breath. Suddenly, the man appeared again. He smiled, a terrible, knowing smile. Night 13. I finished the ritual. There was a blinding flash. I felt myself pulled apart, like my soul was being torn free. But then, nothing. Silence. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Day 14. I tested the doors. They opened. The windows no longer resisted. I stepped outside. The sunlight was blinding, but it felt like freedom. I looked back at the house. It was still there, silent and waiting. Epilogue, a warning to others. I left the house behind, but I'm not the same. Sometimes, late at night, I still hear whispers. They follow me. The house didn't let me go, and I fear one day it will call me back. If you ever hear whispers in an old house, run. Don't look back, because the whispering house never forgets. The end.